No, I know you've been working with us for some time. It's been quite some time now. You've been doing phenomenally well, obviously on the Airbnb side of things. I kind of want to just start off by introducing yourself. Tell us a little bit about like what you like to do, where you're from, and then maybe a little bit of like where you started before getting into Airbnb, and kind of go from there.
Yeah, so before getting into Airbnb, I'm working in Wilmington, North Carolina as a leasing professional at Greystar. So again, had really no clue how to run Airbnb. I always thought it was unachievable, to be honest with you, until I saw the post on Instagram through my fiance, and my fiance was begging me to do it, or at least, inquire about it. So we inquired about it. The program seemed like it was a good fit. It was back in March that I started. We immediately got one unit about 30 days later. The unit was, within 15 days of signing a lease, everything was up and running. We got our first booking within, I think, 2 hours of posting it on Airbnb. So that was sweet. That really helped get the nerves down a lot. And then September, we actually got our second unit at the same complex. And now in 2026, obviously, we plan to kind of scale, obviously. And
Yeah.
now I will be working with you guys directly. So I do plan on scaling and kind of getting the business up to hopefully 10 units by the end of 2026. That's the number goal in my head. But
hmm
obviously if 10 units comes before 2026 ends, I'm not going to stop.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll kind of like break that up and kind of talk further on a couple things that you mentioned. Obviously, like you're going to be working with us. We think it's going to be a great opportunity for you. And obviously, we see your success and like the drive that you have in this. And obviously, that's why you've been getting the results that you've been getting, right? I
Right.
guess for you, like, what's really helped you? Because you mentioned like your fiance now was sending you a bunch of stuff on like Airbnb, like, hey, no, you need to do this or like look into it. I guess like what really allowed you to, this really be beneficial for most people, right? So like what really allowed you to kind of take that first step, right, into the unknown, right, and kind of put the trust into working with us here at the Arbitrage Empire and helping you like achieve your goals and get you where you want to be. So I guess like for the people that are going to be listening to this, like what really helped you kind of make that decision? Like, hey, I'm going to step into the unknown. I'm going to walk into the new version of myself that I've always wanted to do and achieve. So, like, what kind of helped you make that adjustment?
Yeah, so I've seen there's obviously multiple people that do this, and I've inquired about it before, and a lot of there's not really a good business plan. There's not like a step by step on exactly how to do it. There's no like
Mhm.
guarantees involved with their business. And then I had the call with you, same inquiry call I've had a couple times, and you broke everything down. It was step one, we're going to set your LLC up. Step 10, like we
Yeah.
went all the way through step 10 to where you're scaling, and hearing that, like having the person you're putting your trust in, which is you, I
hmm
put my trust in you.
Sure.
That person coming to you and telling you exactly what we're going to do step by step before you even give them a penny of, a dollar for the class or the course. That really helped because you realize you're like, okay, this guy has a plan for me. He has
Yep.
25 properties or whatever, whatever you guys have. And so that was a huge, kind of ease the nerves a lot. Obviously, there were still nerves with it because you have to get booking.
Sure.
And then, but seeing the business plan, once I got access to the course and seeing how organized everything was, I mean, it's literally like hold your hand without holding your hand physically. I mean,
Yeah.
it's broken down to literally like, getting your LLC. What's next?
hmm
0% interest credit cards. And I always thought, you had to own the properties. And
Yeah.
so, 20% down on a house these days is about $75,000 minimum.
Yeah.
I don't know too many people in my direct life that have $75,000 waiting to throw a property down. If they did, more people would own houses at a younger
Sure.
age at the moment.
hmm
That really was the main thing stopping me was obviously financial reasons. I'd say most people would agree with that. And so seeing the business set up and kind of understanding that you don't have to have $50,000 sitting in your bank account ready to throw at your business. And the 0% interest, I never even thought of that as an idea. I didn't even know
Yeah.
that was really a thing that people did, or even
Sure.
business cards. I didn't know they even offered 0% interest business cards. And so once I got all that set up, it was really kind of clicked in my brain, like, dude, this is foolproof almost.
Yeah. 100%. And you mentioned something like super cool. Obviously, how we did go through step by step with you along the way of like getting started A to Z, like from the LLC all the way to scaling. What was really like that turning point for you, like working with us, that allowed you to kind of build that confidence and that certainty in like the beginning stages of like stepping into the unknown, starting something new, and then like obviously putting your faith and trust in us? Like, what really allowed you to kind of build that confidence and certainty in the beginning through working with us?
The one-on-one calls.
Mhm.
You're not doing a lot of courses. They want to put you in a room full of 100 people.
Yeah.
You never get to share your concerns or what you are worried about or questions that you have. It's like,
Hmm.
hey, these 100 people are joining my course as well. Get to meet each
Yeah.
other. And then the call ends and you're like, I just paid for a course I don't know anything about. It was a one-on-one call with you, which I really appreciated. And then
Hmm.
immediately Andrew jumped on the phone the next day and was like, let's get to
Yep.
work. You get
Hmm.
steps, he was telling me you get these steps done and I'll get these steps done on my side. And then we'll meet back up in a couple of days and we'll both have, we'll be at a new point to where we can start, getting closer to actually getting a unit. So I would
Yeah.
say really the one-on-one calls were, seeing someone's face builds a lot of trust, other than just a
Yeah.
phone call from a random number you've never seen, especially with all the scam callers out there these days. So I would say the one-on-one call with you really kind of sold it for me.
Cool. And I'm glad to hear. Like, I feel like it's so important too that you mentioned that as well. Like, there are so many people out there, and like, hey, I'm not bashing on other courses, other programs, other mentees or mentors rather, but people do learn differently, right? It's very hard to just like feed information to anyone and be like, hey, this is how you do this. Just watch the videos and apply it. Like I see at the top, essentially, right? And most people don't know how to figure it out that way or even learn, right? Maybe there's 1% that can figure it out and do it, but most people need to see wins. They need to see results in the beginning stages, right? To build that confidence and certainty to like kind of push that needle forward,
Yeah.
right? So it seems like that's really what helped you to be like, okay, hey, go from one unit to where you are now, and obviously having that consistent confidence and certainty behind your actions, right, to continue going, right? So
Yeah.
that was super cool. Talk a little bit, like, tell me a little bit, like, where you're at specifically right now, like unit wise, revenue wise per month, and kind of go from there.
Yeah. So we're at 2 units still.
Hmm.
We're kind of scaling a little bit slower than I want to, just because we
Hmm.
do have other financial obligations like a wedding and things like that. So we're at 2 units. Between the two, I believe we're at 95% occupancy since open. So from
Nice.
April to September, we had 1 unit, which is at like 98% occupancy. The area I'm in right now, we're in a little bit of a slow season. This was actually I think my lowest occupied month. I think it was like 92% between the 2 units.
Wow.
So I had like I think 4 days that were open last week.
Hmm.
So revenue wise, I believe we're collecting like the first month we had the second unit, I think we collected 5,500, and then this month we collected I think 4,800. So still profiting. Absolutely, during the slow season, profit is profit, and then we're ready to jump on the market when it picks back up a little bit in my area.
Yeah, 100%. Talk to me a little bit. Obviously, I know you do have obligations like the wedding coming around and some other like just personal stuff that you are waiting to iron over until like hey you enter a scaling phase again. Talk to me a little bit on like I know you touched upon it a little bit when we first started this call, but talk to me a little bit like your goals and like where you foresee yourself being, in the next 6 months, 12 months, where you're trying to be and like what that looks like as far as a clear picture.
Yeah, so Airbnb wise, like I said, before 2026 ends, I'd want to say I have at least 10 units to where I have, I'm making, $8,000 to $10,000 a month profit, gross profit. And obviously I did just accept a role with you guys as a CSM. So I
Yeah.
do really look forward if, learning, teaching what I've learned and kind of putting that into other people.
Hmm.
Because everyone goes through different things with Airbnb. You might not have a
Sure.
client or a issue with a guest that I have had.
Hmm.
And
Yep.
so I'm kind of really excited to throw my own experience into the Airbnb world and work kind of closer to you and Andrew as well, because obviously
Hmm.
you guys know what you're doing in that realm. So I'm really excited to try to get up to 10 units and kind of grow that. And I also
Hmm.
want to expand. So we're only in Wilmington at the moment. I'd love to
Hmm.
get a couple units. Like I have family out in Baton Rouge. I'd love to get a couple units out there.
Nice.
So I kind of want to test out a little bit different markets as
Hmm.
well. Like that way we can kind of expand our horizons and profit in multiple markets.
Yeah, totally. 100%. I think too, like I want to discuss a little bit what this opportunity kind of led to, right? I
Yeah,
think when we first spoke, well, I know when we first spoke, like your main goal was to like replace your income, right? Buy your time back, right? Really get out of like what you're currently doing right now. And I'll kind of break the news for him. I know that like, you kind of did put in like your 2 weeks in or your 4 weeks at your current, 9 to 5, let's call it, to kind of go full in on like the Airbnb side of things and continue scaling your portfolio, but now also taking upon the opportunity to work with us, helping our clients scale, work with them, kind of bringing your experience to the space, and continue helping like an earlier version of Noah, right, a year back or a year from today, with our future clients and whatnot. So I think that's gonna be super cool. But talk to me a little bit on like that journey from like your main goal of getting into this, right, replacing your 9 to 5, and now like the opportunity that's led to you of now working with Andrew and myself, and now kind of scaling those two things simultaneously.
yeah. I mean, when I first started, it always kind of seemed like one of those things that you say. but it's not ever going to really happen. Like, I'm going to quit my job. And I didn't hate what I was doing, but, no one loves working 9 to 5 every day or 9 to 6 every day.
Mhm.
So getting my time back was definitely the biggest thing that, being able to spend time doing what I want to do. And so getting into Airbnb in March, I assumed it would be like 2 to 3 years before I could quit my job and only focus on scaling my business. Now I have the opportunity to scale my business simultaneously as helping other people scale their business. So I'm super excited about that. But it was definitely, it definitely is nerve wracking. So I completely understand when people are nervous to get started. A lot of people don't get started because they are nervous. And I've seen, there obviously is a couple other people I've seen, like you had Jake out there. I believe he quit his nine
Yeah.
to five as well, and he's absolutely crushing it, dude. He is. I was
Mhm.
watching his videos last week. He's killing it, dude.
Yeah, he's doing great. And it's just so good to see. Like, I think what most people have is not that they kind of get like stuck in their goals, but more opportunities and more doors do open up, like as you do pursue and kind of take that step into the unknown. Right. For you, it's like, I mean, I don't think you ever saw yourself being like, hey, now I'm working directly with the Arbitrage Empire, right? And that's kind of like your job as well. Now simultaneously scaling your portfolio. It's like the best of both worlds, you
Right.
know? And obviously that opportunity would have never came your way if like you didn't step into the unknown, right? Which is it's just amazing to see. We'll kind of wrap this up. I know obviously we want to make this kind of quick, but I
Yeah.
guess like while we're along the lines of this, like what advice would you give to someone that is watching this or listening to this and maybe is on the fence about starting Airbnb and maybe they're not on the fence specifically starting this, but they are on the fence of kind of stepping into the unknown, wanting to move in the direction of the life that they want and do all of these great things. Like what advice would you give them after being earlier on in your entrepreneurial journey to like where you are now in like such a short amount of time, like you've developed as a person in a different mindset. Like what advice could you give to someone that what you've learned through that journey that would maybe help someone make that direction or that decision to step in the correct direction to where they want to be?
Yeah, I would say surrounding yourself with the correct people is definitely helps your goals become more realistic. If you're hanging around people that only work 9 to 5s every day, you're going to assume that it's what everyone does, so why not? Why
Yep.
would I not work a 9 to 5 every day? It's what, 99% of the population does. I'm not hating on 9 to 5s, but obviously, if you can get your time back, you can still make the same amount of money, actually more money, scale your business. If you're not putting yourself around others who are bettering themselves and kind of that are going to help you grow your business. There's really no point of being around those people, but they're not doing much for you.
Sure.
So, once I got around you and Andrew, and I did see like, and especially with the arbitrage group, there is that, like the
Yeah.
discussion board of people posting their wins. The first night I joined arbitrage group, I was telling Andrew this the other day, I scrolled down to the very beginning of when you guys started and to check, I literally
Love
checked
it.
the entire page. Because again, I was skeptical. It's really easy to be skeptical of something, and seeing other people's wins really, really helps. So I
Hmm.
would say my advice is, you're not ever going to succeed at something if you don't try it. If you don't
Hmm.
jump into something, you're not ever going to try it. You can't not have an Airbnb and say, oh, my Airbnbs are failing. You don't have one, so you never even tried it. So I would say surround yourself with the correct people and take that leap of faith. I'm 24 years old, so I've kind of come to the realization like there's so much out there that was
Yeah.
never really taught to me as a younger kid. I was always taught kind of, you're going to work 9 to 5. That's kind of how things go. And it's kind of just like a self motivation, kind of like I really don't want to do that. I really want to, have my own business. The day that my business was filed for was kind of one of the most like I got the papers emailed to me,
Yeah.
like stop residential partners, dude. That was like the most awesome feeling in the world, having a business in your name. You learn so much, regarding like business setup, taxes, business write-offs. So it was just an awesome feeling. But I probably would have never done it if it wasn't for my fiance. And she is one of those people that I surround myself that does. She understands like the process of kind of trusting in other people and having that faith in other
Yeah.
people that and again putting yourself around those people that are going to better you and help better your business. So that was probably my
Yeah.
one thing. And that's what I really tell anybody to kind of just jump into it and put yourself around the correct people.
100%. I love that. That's awesome stuff. And like, I vouch with you on that 100%. It's like you surround yourself around, four millionaires, you're going to be the fifth, right? You surround yourself around four 9 to 5ers, you're going to be the fifth. And again, not hating on anyone that does it, right? But your environment isn't everything, right?
Yeah.
And it's most important to surround yourself around people that are helping you get better, helping you push towards your goals, towards the life that you want, right? Instead of kind of just settling for what you've been told and what you think is, the normal, right? So I agree with you 100%. And I'm glad you kind of brought that up. So listen, I kind of want to wrap this up as far as like saying I'm super proud of you. I think everything that you have accomplished now has like been well deserved. And I think obviously the sky's the limit. I think now once you kind of obviously get married, which is an awesome accomplishment as well. So kind of once that is behind you, you'll really be able to kind of hit the ground running with this and kind of enter scaling phase number two. Like you said, diversifying other markets, right? Getting up to 10 units, and then now simultaneously working with us directly at the Arbitrage Empire and kind of sharing your experience and whatnot is going to be super beneficial. So, like I said, super proud of you, dude. Keep crushing it. I think it's just enjoying to see where your mindset has changed and shifted in such a short amount of time, right? It's like, what's it going to be like in 5 years, or what's it going to be like in 10 years? You know what I mean? And it's just it's super warming for a business owner myself and like a mentor to see. So keep it up, dude. You're absolutely crushing it. And I appreciate you kind of coming on, sharing your journey, sharing your experience, because it's super rewarding to see and of course feel as someone that has of course helped you. So again, keep crushing it, bro. Thanks for coming on again, and we'll go from there. All right, bro?
Absolutely, man.
All right, cool.